In Wilmington, history doesn't always stay buried. Some of it clings to the brick, the steel, the places where lives were changed forever. And the Harrelson Center stands today as a beacon of hope, a campus devoted to service, compassion, and second chances. But before the mission work, these halls held something very different. This was the New Hanover County Jail, a place where fear, desperation, and unfinished stories lived side by side. And according to those who walked these corridors, some of these stories never left. Tonight, you'll hear several voices. Former jailers who knew these rooms when they held the living, and a stepson who believes his loved one still lingers here, searching for peace. Their experiences, their memories, their truth. This is Carolina Case Files. Alan Hughes.
Sir.
Thanks for joining us on the show.
Yes, sir.
Glad we could get our calendars together.
Yeah, glad
get
to
you
be
in
here.
the studio. Good, good. Alan, I understand there's been 3 jails in New Hanover County.
Yes, sir.
First one in the 1700s, I guess the Burgwin Wright House has been built on top of the original walls of that place. And then the jail moved to 4th Street in a building that is now the Harrelson Center.
Yes.
And then now I guess that's been superseded and the new jail's out on Blue Clay Road.
Blue Clay Road.
Blue Clay Road. That's hard to say. Blue Clay Road for whatever reason. But a little bit about you, Alan. You are the current fire chief.
I'm actually a fire captain.
Fire captain.
Yes, with
New
Wilmington
Hanover
Fire.
County. Okay,
Wilmington
for Wilmington,
Fire.
for the
Wilmington
city.
Fire. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
And you are part-time on the Sheriff's Department right
Sheriff's
now?
Office, yes, sir. I work
Okay.
in the Civil Division, yeah.
And how long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
22 years total with the Sheriff's Office and 19 with Wilmington Fire.
Wow. Wow. That's great. This jail that's in, or was in the, what's now the Harrelson Center, a lot of stories
Yeah.
about things that have happened there. And the reason we've tried to connect with you is you were actually a jailer there.
I was.
And as I understand it, you've got some firsthand experience and stories and maybe some secondhand stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I was lucky enough to experience some of this stuff, but I did.
Well, a lot of stories have been done about this place. I think there was a paranormal group that came in and did a whole episode on it, but I don't know that anyone's done an interview of a person that was actually working there. So I'm just going to cut you loose and let you tell your stories, firsthand and secondhand, and
Okay.
let her rip.
Seemed to be when we would hear the sounds and see stuff. It would always be when our count got up real high. You could actually feel negative energy in the jail.
All right, you said we.
Well,
So
people I work with.
People you work with, so
Yeah.
other people besides you.
Uh-huh.
And when you said when your count got up, you're talking about prisoners,
Prisoners. yeah.
detainees, whatever you call it.
Inmates, yes.
So when the numbers got high, it got dark.
Yeah, we get a lot of fights because people were crowded. I mean, it was the living quarters that the inmates were experienced to were cramped for sure. And
A jail, that's fear and despair.
yeah,
and,
absolutely.
darkness. Yeah.
And so it's a lot of negative going on to begin with, but
Okay.
you bring that on top of it, just people mad and just a lot of negative energy, and
Yeah.
that's when I experienced the most of it.
Tell us.
Yes. One night, I guess it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, it was up on the 5th floor. I was working in the control room with a sergeant at the time. We had a female deputy working up on the 5th floor, and she was cleaning around the desk area up there. And we could see it on the closed circuit camera. She's walking around the desk, and I happened to notice there was a guy sitting in a chair right beside her desk. It kind of looked like he was dressed in maybe an inmate worker suit, but it was kind of grainy, so it was couldn't tell for sure. But it was certainly a man sitting in the chair. Blank stare on his face, looking straight forward. He didn't acknowledge her walking around him whatsoever. So I got a little alarmed about it because we didn't have inmates out at that time of night, and called her on the radio and said, "Hey, why do you have an inmate out this time of night?" she said, "What?" And I said, "The guy sitting in that chair right next to you." Well, she didn't turn around. She took off running towards the control room.
No.
She did. And she comes in the control room, looks on the camera herself, and she can see him at this point. So I take a radio, leave the control room, and I'm walking up to the fifth floor ramp. And I'm talking to him on the radio while they're still in the control room, and I can't see him in the chair at this point. But they're telling me on the radio he's still there.
No.
He's still there, and I'm slowly walking up, and I said, "He's nobody, nothing's here." And they said he's still in the chair. So I go and stand right next to the chair, and I'm looking directly at it, maybe 2 feet from it, and they're saying he's still there. He hasn't acknowledged you. He's looking straight ahead. So I sit down in the chair, and at that point, he vanishes.
That was pretty bold of you, Alan.
I don't know what come over me to do that, but I would probably never do it again.
You were probably a younger man at that time.
Much younger, much younger. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my first-hand account with it. I've heard a lot of stories about the inmates seeing old deputy walking through that wore a Class A uniform. We didn't wear Class A's at the time when I did. We wore a green polo and khaki pants. So they wondered about why this deputy is walking around. He never acknowledges, just keeps walking past the cell block, and they just
What's the significance of that uniform that they were seeing?
they were seeing
Is that an earlier uniform?
earlier uniform.
An earlier uniform.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
way earlier?
Well, maybe, but the deputies that didn't work in the jail, they wore a Class A uniform, but it was
Okay.
kind of different from what they were describing he was wearing.
Okay.
But we just wore a plain, just to be more comfortable in
sure.
there. But he was wearing nothing like what we were wearing. And late at night, even up on the fifth floor, I saw the full-bodied apparition, what I'm gonna call it. But up in the nurse's station, you could hear cabinets opening, closing. You could hear someone talking inside there. We'd open it up, nobody in there. And again, that stuff happened when you could really feel the negative energy and the fights and stuff happening.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think it was good stuff that was happening, for sure. Certainly because of the negative energy, and it's like I said, I don't know if it was luck that I actually saw this, but never seen anything like it since.
Wow.
Since then.
Corroborated by the other guys and gals in the control room that also
Yeah,
saw it.
absolutely.
Wow. Anything happen on full moon nights or Friday nights or anything like that?
That I couldn't.
Just when you guys were full,
Well, we could tell, like on full moon nights, they were bringing a lot more people in.
Getting crowded.
WPD, and
Yeah.
we get crowded, and in turn, the overcrowded leads to more. But just takes a special person to work in the prison system and the
Bet.
jail, for sure.
Bet.
God bless them. We need them, and they don't get a lot of credit that they deserve.
well, they're seeing the dark side of humanity every
They are.
single day
They
in
are.
and day out. You know, how do you not take that home? You know,
I know it's unfortunate. I'm a Christian, and that will certainly get you upset when
Yeah.
you see stuff like that.
Sure. Sure.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, people that have fallen through the cracks, basically.
Maybe. Yeah.
Wow. Alan, you said that when the jail started nearing capacity, when you started getting full, the place got really negative.
Yeah.
You say you're a man of faith. How did that affect you in your personal life?
Strongly. Like growing up, I never got in trouble. Still never understood what caused me to get into law enforcement.
You don't have any idea?
Well, I had a friend wanted to.
Okay. That's all it takes. A 5-minute
yeah.
conversation. 22 years later, you look back and go,
let's take BLET
how did I start
together.
doing this? Right.
Yeah, and well, here I am 22 years later, but like I said, never got in trouble, never dealt with that side of
The negative side of life.
negative side. Never actually really got in a fight until I started working in that jail, and
This jail that we're talking
this jail, yeah, and I don't know if it was the oppression, the negativity, I got it where I started to like it. I liked the confrontation.
about. Really?
Yeah, and it is certainly
And
working.
you're talking about confrontation when you would leave the jail.
Yeah.
Or before you got to the jail.
Well, I
you're
mean,
carrying it home with you.
Carrying it home with me, not necessarily in my marriage, but I didn't mind the confrontation going into the jail and dealing with that stuff, which is something I never dealt with. And again, that was certainly not like me. In the long run, I believe it did affect my marriage, dealing with that negativity and that oppression. Hate it, but
Wow.
found the Lord again, and
Yeah.
certainly have never seen anything or dealt with anything like that again since working in that jail.
And okay, so you're not in the prison management or jail
No,
management
I don't.
anymore.
I work outside of that
Okay.
now. So
Wow.
But that short time that I did, I worked in the old jail and the new jail. It just takes a special kind of person. Until you've done it, you really don't understand how it affects your personal life and your faith.
Yeah.
Really.
You gave me chills talking about that because we fight against powers and principalities.
Absolutely.
And that's what was going on in that jail.
Absolutely.
No doubt in my mind.
Devil can masquerade as an angel of light, and I believe that's what was going on.
Thank you for that, Alan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We appreciate you being here, Alan.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your story, man.
Yeah.
Texas Cheney.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
You're kind of well known in this community
I hope mostly
and
good.
outside.
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind, going to read a little short bio.
Sure.
Texas Cheney is an actor, model, and professional wrestler based in Wilmington, North Carolina, known for his strong presence and versatility across film, television, and live performances. He's built a career spanning multiple industries, appearing in notable productions such as Southern Iron, Harrison production films like Big Goal and Corner Pocket, Year of the Dragon, Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and HBO's The Righteous Gemstones in 2019. His work includes stunts and behind the scenes roles, such as in The Righteous Gemstones and One Tree Hill Season 7. Beyond acting, he's worked as a model and professional wrestler, bringing both physical and creative skills to his projects.
That's correct.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So we're doing a story about the old jail,
Correct.
which closed down, I guess, in the mid-2000s, somewhere in there. Moved to the new one. And I don't know the story, but I understand you have a connection to some pretty strong stories that are circulating about that jail.
I do.
Texas, thanks for joining us. I'm just going to let you roll with it, buddy, because we want to hear your story.
Sure. Well, again, my name's Texas Cheney Jr. And my father, Texas Cheney Sr., he adopted me when I was about 8 years old. And he had spent about 25, 30 years in the Coast Guard. And then about somewhere in the neighborhood when I was 8 years old, him and my mother married, and he started working at the New Hanover County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
At that point in time, it was the old jail that is on,
The one on 4th Street.
no, not 4th, it was the...
Oh, the one
old-
before that.
Right.
Okay.
It used to be... It
Bergwin Wright House? Or,
yeah, and it was a courthouse at the same time. So it was a small jail, small courthouse. And then in I think the latter part of 78 and 79, they built the big one that currently the church has purchased. First Baptist, I think, is their name. Or?
I think it's a nonprofit. It's pretty much a
Yes,
nonprofit.
I remember the old slogan went from a house of pain to a house of happiness.
That's right. Yeah, they try to lift people up. They have programs.
Right,
yeah.
And I think it was a really good thing. And then, of course, right after that, in about 2004, New Hanover County built the new jail, Sidbury Road, I believe was the name of that road. So, there's been a long 35 plus years since, my stepdad has passed away. And when I was younger and more foolish and not conservative and doing things the right way when I was young, I had a bad habit, and forgive me for this. I had wrote some bad checks as a young man. I don't do it no more. And I got arrested multiple times. And
Okay.
this was after my stepdad had passed.
Oh,
So this was new to me. I'm starting to hear when I go into booking, and of course they would let me go because it was just little young stuff. And they would always, men that I didn't know, different people that worked there, sheriffs. They would ask me the same question or just mention, "Yeah, your dad's still down here. Everybody sees him." I'm like, "Really?"
your dad has passed away.
He's been passed away for probably 10 years at that time.
He was with the sheriff's
He
department.
was.
Was he a jailer?
He was a jailer. He was for many years,
Okay.
and then he eventually started being a chief bailiff,
Okay.
sergeant for the courthouse.
I got it.
So when that happened, and most people don't know this, but there's a tunnel under the road from the jail on 4th Street to the new courthouse.
Okay.
And that's how the inmates would get from the jail to the courthouse. So I've heard multiple people speaking that they would see him on camera walking under the tunnel. And these guys were serious. I mean, I just kept hearing it more often. I really feel extremely confident this wasn't just some BS rumor because of the sincerity of the guys. I mean, some of them would just look spooked. So, I have heard stories that he was like all of a sudden would appear beside someone in the elevator at the jail. And then, of course, you've had an interview with a gentleman that's seen him sitting in a chair in one of the rooms. And, it just seems like there's so many people saying the same stuff. It's got to be real.
Wow.
There was, my stepdad was, he could be a mean person. He had a lot of people that my friends would come over, even some of my cousins, they would all say the same stuff about him. He looked evil. Now, he was good to me. He made sure I had everything I need growing up, playing football and stuff like that. And he would buy me the best you could have. And I was really grateful for that. But he did have some, he wasn't mean as far as, throwing and raising hell and cussing. He didn't do that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. He just, if you offended him, he wouldn't speak to you for weeks
If you crossed him.
and look at you with these dark black eyes. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember it. It was spooky to me. I often wondered now, especially that I'm older and I have kids of my own and I'm married, why my mother would put up with that. So, years later, I keep hearing about this and the stories just seem to be, coming together. I definitely don't know what it's like after we pass. But, throughout these many years, I've kind of put together a puzzle that I think may possibly be an answer, but not 100%. He was a mean person, evilish. He grew up in an orphan. He was molested when he was young. Ooh. So he was didn't have a mom or dad. He knew who his dad was. His mom was, he was, even his brothers. They were just kids that had, got the short end of the stick. It's no excuse to carry that on, but maybe that's part of the equation to think of, how people are seeing him. So, he did commit suicide at a church. He got caught for doing some things he shouldn't have been doing, and he felt guilty. Of course, that's definitely what it was. And it was a lot to put together to say, that puzzle is looking so significantly realistic that he was evil. He killed himself. He worked at that jail, walked back and forth so many times. Who's to say that's there's not really another sightings that we see that are, it's just unexplainable. But I believe 100% that all these people are telling the truth. I have personally never seen him in any vision or any type of coincidental measures in my life. When he died, he died. It was it. I go to visit his grave from time to time, not as much as I used to. I think as I get older, I still have some bitter feelings. There are some things that took place that I'd rather not talk about. It hits home pretty hard. But he had some demons in him. He really did. And I haven't really come across many sheriffs recently that has mentioned this, other than what we're going through now. So life has been good for me as far as not having to deal with any of that personally. You would think he would probably wanting to come up to me, or in a ghostly form, because I would probably I have a lot of damn questions. I'm not gonna lie, a lot. So, and I had that relationship with him where we could just talk the junk with each other, and we did go fishing. That's another thing I wanted to say. When I was young, probably in 8, 7, 8, 9, when he did marry my mother, we would go fishing at either the Coast Guard station at Wrightsville Beach or Snow's Cut Bridge, which they closed that private park down. And every time we're out there fishing, I'm seeing some rough looking tattooed, I'm stereotyping because I'm a kid. They would always go up to him and I'd hear him say, Sergeant Cheney. And they, after they talked a little while and they'd leave, I'd run up to my dad and say, hey, who was that? He said, that's an inmate, old ex-inmate. I'm like, stereotyping. Don't they supposed to not like you? You're a jailer. He goes, no. He said, I treated him good.
Wow.
I treated him with respect. That's why they're talking to me the way they are. So
maybe that's why he was back there walking the halls.
Yeah. So,
man,
I have heard through the grapevine. I've never seen them, but I would love to see the videos. I understand there were some videos out there of his presence in the jail.
Texas, if there is, we're going to track it down.
Man, I would love. Please I want to be the top 10 person you call.
Yeah. Wow,
For sure.
Texas. Thank you for that.
Of course, you're welcome.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I'm just as awe as you are about it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being willing to share that with us. We appreciate
of course.
it. Thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure, sir.
Awesome. David Greeno.
Hey, Rusty, how's it going?
It's going great. Good to have you in the studio. How do you like the studio, by the way?
Oh, man, it's great.
This is a little different for being out at Hickory Hall, right?
Oh, God, a lot different. A lot different.
Hey, we're doing a story on the Harrelson Center,
Okay.
which used to be the city jail and used to be the sheriff's department. You were a deputy during that time frame.
Yes, sir, I was.
You got some stories?
Oh, yes.
We'd like to hear any first-hand accounts and any second-hand accounts.
Okay, I'll start with what I experienced personally.
Great. Let her rip.
All right. I started there in March of '94. The count for the jail, the official count was maximum capacity 206, but that was including the holding cells in the booking area. So the average count would stay about 330 to 350 around that time frame, and it was a very violent place, extremely violent, extremely overcrowded. We would have inmates that had been in and out of the prison system all over the United States. They, you name it. Some of them had been to Pelican Bay. Some of them had been to Corcoran. Some of them had been to Central Prison in Raleigh. Some of them even spent time in Angola. And these guys would beg to get out of the jail because it was so violent and so overcrowded.
Wow.
And you could tell that it was, let's say, bad vibes, I'd go with, when it was extremely crowded and everyone there was miserable, including us who worked there, because at the time, for 330, 350 inmates, there were between 5 and 6 deputies that worked that entire jail. And you had a second floor, a fourth floor, and a fifth floor. And down below in we called it the Sally Port, you had booking, and there was a tunnel that went all the way under the street into the courthouse area for secured transport of prisoners for court.
That was under 4th Street, under the street there?
Yeah, it goes under the complete road of 4th Street.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we would hear stories, of things that go bump in the night pretty much there.
Okay.
But a jail is loud. It's constantly loud. Up until about 2 o'clock in the morning, things start kind of cooling down. People are sleeping, and although it never stops, it slows down at that time. And the one thing that I can tell you, if it was really crowded, that's when the activity was the worst. And I'll give you what I experienced right now. I was working what's called the second floor, and that was the newer wing that they added to it. It used to be the 911 center, and they converted it into holding cell, well, not holding cells, but for your lower end criminals, your DWIs, your weekenders, your people that were serving for petty larceny.
They're not going to be there long.
Yeah, they're not going to be there long. Child support.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there one night, and a deputy came off of the elevator, or I came off the elevator. He was there. I was relieving him. And he asked me, he said, "Who'd you have on the elevator with you?" And I said, "Nobody." "Why?" And he said, "Man, I'm just tired," because it was late at night and everything was getting quiet. And he said, "Man, I'm just getting tired. I thought I saw somebody with you on the elevator." I didn't think anything about it. So you would go work the second floor because it was quiet, and you could. It sounds terrible, but you could go to sleep. You could catch some. Yeah, you could. You couldn't sleep anywhere else, but you could sleep there, kind of.
Okay.
And so everybody wanted to work there. I was sitting there, and he had been gone for probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and I had dozed off. I'm not going to lie, I dozed off because it was quiet. And I heard what sounded like a mat slide. And you know what it sounds like when like cardboard slides across a floor. You can hear the gritty texture of it. And I thought, did somebody come in here? There's no way they could because there's alarm setting and everything, and you can't get in there. And I looked on the camera because I was like, who are they playing a joke on me? And I looked and I saw something go on the camera, and it just looked like smoke. It looked like rolling ball of smoke. And saw it, and I was like, I'm just seeing that's something on the camera. And then saw it coming back across from where it went across, saw it coming back again. I freeze framed it, and it looked exactly like a man with like a white gown is what I could think of, sitting in a fetal position, floating about maybe 2.5 feet off the ground, and it looked like he had a gun in his mouth.
A gun in his
A
mouth.
gun in his mouth. I didn't know anything about this. I knew nothing about this deputy who had shot himself before. I had no idea about it. I freeze framed it, had my sergeant come down. I said, I'm seeing something on camera. I don't know what it is, but it's moving stuff down here. So he came down there. He looked at the screen. He said, that looks like so-and-so. And I said, who is that? And he said, he killed himself. And I was like, was he a deputy? He said, yeah. He worked over as a bailiff for several years. Well, he came back down with my that was my sergeant. He came down with my corporal. They videoed it with an old VHS camera, what was on the screen. And later on, they did a side-by-side of what this guy's profile was and what this guy's profile was. They looked identical to the receding hairline, to the facial structure, to everything. And at that time...
Who was it?
You want to give a name? I don't want to say his name because his family is still here.
Did it appear to be someone related to someone we've had in the
Yes.
studio?
Yes.
Last couple of nights?
100%. 100%.
Wow.
And they actually did a side-by-side, and it 100% looked just like him.
Wow.
And it made me not want to work that second. Everybody wanted to work the second floor because it was the easiest floor to work because you had the most freedom, you had the most downtime. You could sneak a TV in there, you could watch movies. I never wanted to work it again. Never. I would rather be up there running back and forth like a crazy man getting stuff done. I never wanted to work that floor again.
Wow.
And the sheriff at the time confiscated the videotapes and never wanted it to be spoken of again.
Bad press.
Whew, yeah.
Wow. That's quite a story.
That is something.
Kind of dovetails with some other testimonies we've heard in the last couple of
I'm
nights.
telling you, it's weird. That place is active. It's still active now. It has to be. All the bad stuff. When I was there, in the time frame I was there over 6 years, we had at least 4 inmates die. Some of them down in Booking, some of them up there. And we had at least 4 or 5 suicides that I can remember.
How would someone die in Booking?
One of them, he overdosed. He had too much in his system, and he just had a massive coronary.
Okay.
And the other one, I think he had another massive heart attack. And then the rest of them, they all died in the same cells. Upstairs, they died in 421 was the death cell. and it felt different in there. It was, I guess you call it a single man cell, but it was it had a shower, and it was about a 12 by 15-foot cell. And we would put problems in there. We would also use it as the negative pressure room for TB, people that had TB, and we would keep them in there. But I've seen 3 suicides in just that cell that I can remember. 2 of them were on my shift. And then the other cells, guys, it was a violent place. Some people got beaten and they ended up dying, beaten to death. And then I'll go into another story about a guy during the hurricane we had. It was a construction worker that was up here, kind of just like traveling. They follow storms or storm chasers, really.
Roofers.
Roofers, yeah. And that's what this guy was. He was a roofer. He was a finished carpenter. He was in there for, I don't really know what for. I can't really remember, but it was nothing real serious. But this was several years later. I'd say about 2001, maybe.
Okay.
At that time, the jail was hovering around 400. So
400.
400, sometimes it would go as high as 450.
And max capacity was what?
206. Wow. So he came in, and, during the hurricane, it brings a lot of different people in. It brings good and bad. This guy, of course, he broke the law. He deserved to come to jail. The only place we could put him was a cell block called 4G. 4G was it was the most violent cell block we had, period. And it always was. For whatever reason, they called it the House of Pain.
It was just the only place you had to put it.
That was it. We had people chained to the walls out in front of the control room on an eye bolt. We had nowhere to put him. So he went there, and, he goes in there to I think that one is a 16-man cell block, and we probably had 38 people in it. And he went in there. They didn't know him, and we didn't know what happened to him, because after they beat him so bad, he was bloody, and they had crushed his orbital, knocked his teeth out, fractured his skull, broken his nose. He was messed up. They showered him off to get the blood off of him, and they wrapped him up in his blanket and put him in the corner. He sat there, I would guess, 8 to 10 hours, because we worked 12-hour rotating shifts. And when you have that many people in there and you only have 5, 6 people working for an entire place, you're going to miss things. And, at head count, they were going through to do a head count. He managed to get himself up to the bars and told the deputy, they saw his face. He looked like a monster. The deputy got him out. They went in and took him out. They locked everybody down, called EMS, transported him. I want to say I knew he was in a coma, but I don't know. I don't remember if it was medically induced or whether the fractured skull, but he had swelling on the brain. He was in the CCU, the critical care unit at New Hanover Regional at the time. And several days later, we had to have several deputies, 2 deputies at a time, because he was such a risk because of his injuries. And he came to when we were there. He had come out of his coma, and he was starting to talk a little bit. And this is the first time I had ever seen anything like it. And myself and another deputy were there. And he asked us who this person was. And he mentioned the name. And I'll tell you the name he said Carl. And me and the deputy both looked at each other, and we were like, who are you talking about? And he said, who is Carl? Mm-hmm. And we were like, what does Carl look like? He said, I don't know. He just looks like light. He's just light. He got me to the bars. And we were like, to the bars
so
to get you. So he could get the jailers. And we were like, and we knew there was another deputy, not this one that was further I told you about the first time. This one was a deputy who also killed himself. And everybody said from day one after he did it, he stayed somehow connected to that jail. And everybody would say that was Carl. And this guy from Florida would not have known that. He knew nothing about it. Nobody talked about
the
it.
Carpenter that followed the hurricane.
The inmate from Florida. Yeah, he had come here from Florida chasing the storm. How would this guy know from Florida about a guy in the New Hanover County Jail that's a ghost named Carl? He wouldn't know that. And when we heard it, we were stunned, and he ended up making a full recovery. And while he was doing that, and this is a rough, tough inmate, man, I'm telling you, this guy, he was what you thought one would look like, and tatted up, everything you think of. And he was reading books about angels after that.
As he's recovering.
Yes, as he is recovering, he started requesting books about angels. And that's all he would read is books about angels and deliverance and getting saved and things like that. And the best of my knowledge, the last I heard about him, he has become a preacher now, and he has not reoffended. So I guess he was put through jailhouse justice, and I don't like the way it worked out, but I'm glad it changed his life.
Wow. Do you know Alan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know Alan. I've known Alan a long time.
Are you familiar with his story about seeing somebody in a chair on the 5th floor?
Yes, sir. I relieved him that day.
You relieved him that
Yeah,
day?
he was working that night, and when I walked in that morning, he said, "Hey, Greeno, we want to show you something on camera," because they knew what I'd caught on camera several years earlier. And they showed me, and it was a man sitting in a chair.
They had a tape.
Yeah, it was sitting there in the chair. I can't remember. I think it was the 4th floor, maybe 4th or 5th.
I think he said 5th.
5th floor. It was over near medical. That was the 5th floor. And he was sitting there.
Where an inmate should not have been.
Yeah, but you could see it was a man sitting there, and the deputy was sitting at the desk, and she didn't see it. And then when you look down the hallway, they said you couldn't see it, but when you look on the camera, you could see him, and I want to say he was moving and everything else. You could see him moving. So
what happened to that tape?
Same thing that happened to mine.
bad juju.
Yeah, bad juju.
Wow.
And there's another thing that I can tell you. When in the female cell block, there was a female cell block we called 4H and 4I. In between there was a door. You would go into the one door, you'd unlock it with the big keys, you see. You go in there, lock it behind you, you walk through to do your rounds, and a male never went down there by themselves. It was always, you had to have either two males, but a female could go there by herself.
Yeah.
So they'd walk through, you'd announce, man on the floor, and you tell them, and they let you know if they were getting a shower, whatever, And the females were going crazy one night. I mean, screaming, a bloody murder. We were like, "What's going on down there?" Went down there, and it was about 3:30 in the morning. They said they never heard the door unlock, because you could hear that big tumbler going off with that key. They never heard the door unlock, but they saw a deputy walking through the hall. Where their cell is, there was a void area where you walked all the way down it. You could see all the way through it. And there was a door in the middle that made a bunch of noise when you went through it. It never made any noise, and he went through the door and reappeared on the other side, and they all saw him, and he was dressed in a uniform from the early 80s and late 70s. They described it perfect.
Not the uniform that you wore.
No, it wasn't the uniform we had. This was definitely vintage uniform.
Wow.
And they were petrified.
Wow.
I didn't witness it happen, but I witnessed afterwards. And those females wanted out of that place. A lot of them were making bond after that.
Were you glad to get out of that place?
I absolutely was. I have a lot of good memories there, but a lot of them, it was a tough place to work, man.
Yeah.
It was rough. When they begged to get out of there, the inmates, to go to Central Prison, to go to Odom, to go to Caledonia, to get out of there, Foothills, those are rough places. They would beg to get out of there, because we've had some people sit in there, Rusty, for almost 2,000 days awaiting trial. That's a long time.
David, did all that negative and darkness affect you in any way while you were working there?
Oh, yeah.
How so?
You don't sleep good at night. Constant nerves. I mean, it's like your stomach was constantly boiling heat. It felt like when you're about to get nauseated, you feel that bile coming through to your duct. It was like that on a constant basis there. It was rough.
It's a tough job.
Very tough.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your story.
I appreciate it.
We really appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
And thanks for your service, too.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah. The Harrelson Center is no longer a jail. Its mission today is compassion, and restoration, and community. But buildings remember what people forget. Former jailers speaking from lived experience, and a stepson speaking from love and loss. Both describe a presence tied to this place, a presence shaped by its past. Whether you believe in spirits, echoes, or simply the weight of memory, one thing is clear. Some stories don't end when the doors close. They linger. They imprint. They wait for someone willing to listen. And tonight, we listened. I'm Rusty Martin, and this is Carolina Case Files.
Is it flesh? Is it shadow? Is it curse? Is it crown? If I pull this trigger, will it just come back around? Cut scars on my knuckles, scar 17 in my head. If it falls, if it rises, will anyone understand? Carolina Case Files burned in my brain. Every mile marker spells out your name.